Gentlemen No Class is proud to be a part of the HC Universal Network. Gentlemen No Class is produced, mixed, and edited by M5 Studios.
This podcast contains explicit language and is intended for adult audiences. The views and opinions of Gentlemen No Class are strictly for comedic purposes and should not be taken literally. For instance, like this disclaimer. Now grab yourself a pint and enjoy.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Gentlemen No Class, a podcast that when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro. I'm Jake.
And I'm Rob.
And like it or not, gentle ladies and gentlemen, we are the hosts for tonight's episode. So, there's a new little set that we're doing right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just us now, so like we're kicking it like we're bringing you the news a la Rob and Jake. Yeah. So like we figured we get our asses out of our seats, stand up, get some energy in the room and kind of talk about now we get to kind of take over and talk about what we want to talk about. And
right? Yeah, that's awesome actually.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a little different.
I mean, it's not like we've never done that before, but tonight we're going to talk about we've kind of been talking about doing. Actually, this idea came about because I wanted to start an entirely new podcast in addition to this one with Jake, where we just talked about Blink-182 all the time.
Right.
And I thought that it would be pretty cool to do seasons and we could get really in depth into it. And we still might do something like that. I don't know if that's something that anybody would, give a shit about. But anyway.
I give a shit, Rob.
Okay, well. That's cool. I'm glad one of us, there's at least one of us that does. So,
yeah, right.
We braved the cold weather in Houston to come out and make sure that we're here bringing you guys some content. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I have our monitor up for our conversation so people can comment in. I wanted people to, if they were going to comment in on it.
That's smart. Yeah, for sure. So why Blink-182? Why are we doing this episode?
Well, I mean, Blink's my favorite band. They have been for quite a long time.
Yeah, for sure. So
they were probably not the first like band that was like kind of away from. I think that so here I'll kind of back step a little bit, and you'll have to forgive us because this is our first time shooting with this.
Oh yeah,
our new camera.
It is a little weird
setup. So we didn't pull the we actually didn't pull the ISO measurements and stuff off the screen. So it's like it's showing the stuff on there.
Amateur hour, man.
Whatever. Maybe we'll sneak over there and fix it. Maybe we won't. I don't know. We'll see. So I think that kids or people in general kind of go through these phases where you like the music that your parents like because that's all you've ever heard until you reach the age of, about 11 or 12, your preteen, teenage years. And then you start listening to the music that your friends listen to and they get that from, their older siblings or, you hear it in a TV show or something like that. Or I'm not real sure how that happens, how that kind of funnels down. Maybe listening to the radio, you start trying to, they start forming their own opinions and things like that. But I remember the first like major band that I was into hardcore was Sublime, and they're probably still one of my favorite bands of all time. But my second one was Blink, and I've always been a Blink fan. And I'll tell you how I got into them. So I got into them. The first time I heard Blink was American Pie.
Oh yeah. Mutt.
Yeah. So Mutt was in American Pie, and actually Blink was in American Pie.
They were.
Mark, Tom, and Travis were all in there. Even though that was kind of a transitional period where Scott had left and Travis had stepped in, and I've looked this up before and I don't remember because it's always I've had people argue with me about it before, but I believe that Travis recorded the drums for Mutt.
Okay.
But Scott is credited for it,
yes.
And he's credited in the movie also.
He is.
Because he left the band during the film, like when all that was happening.
Isn't that something?
So
he must be kicking himself right now.
You know, actually, I've heard that he's pretty happy with his life. Yeah, like I
bet he'll be happier if he was getting those checks from Blink.
Yeah, I'm sure. I saw a video. I saw a video where he was playing Carousel on stage with a different band.
Was that him?
Yeah, that was Scott.
Some
on
people
drums.
were saying that that's fake. That's not Scott at all. But okay.
No, it was for sure. It was for sure, most definitely Scott. So, yeah. So that was my first foray into Blink was American Pie, that movie. So,
right.
One of the things that I really, I like that song. So, I went looking for other things like almost right away. And I don't think Enema of the State was out quite yet because I think American Pie hit at the beginning of summer 99.
I think right. It was a class of 99.
And I think that Enema of the State didn't drop until July or August. So it was a few months later. So I don't know that What's My Age Again had dropped as a single quite yet. So the only other stuff by Blink that was out was stuff off of Cheshire Cat and Dude Ranch. So obviously their biggest hit to date was Damn It.
Which was on the Can't Hardly Wait soundtrack.
It was on the Can't Hardly Wait.
That was the first time I ever heard Blink.
And that was 99 also, wasn't
it?
Or 98?
They were the class of 98.
Okay.
And see, I'm going by the class of whatever in these movies. And
let's go with your story. How did you hear him?
No, the first time I heard him was actually, I think it was on TRL, MTV. All the Small Things came out. That's fucking hilarious. They're doing the 98 Degrees ripoff and the Britney Spears mocking them.
It was super clever.
That's funny. So I dug a little deeper in, and I'm like, oh, they were on that movie, Can't Hardly Wait. So my brother bought me the CD, and I just became a fan right off the bat. Granted, I bought that. I mean, Enema of the State was the first album. Then I went to the Cheshire Cat, which is like, okay, this is too different. I mean, the recordings were crap.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can definitely tell back then the budget that they had going into different studios.
And I think they recorded that in 95, Cheshire Cat.
I believe
I want to say it's 95.
I have it up here. They recorded in 94. They recorded Cheshire Cat, and it was released in 95.
Cool, very well.
It's in my notes.
No, but yeah, but
I did do research for this.
I try to do as much research as I can. I just feel like I'm a fanboy.
You just listened to a bunch of their music, and that was your research?
Yeah, that was my reason, right?
Fair enough.
But yeah, damn it. On Can't Hardly Wait, and I picked up their album, the Dude Ranch album, and that was my personal opinion, 10 times better than Cheshire Cat.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, the budget for that was, I think that they actually had a decent amount of budget for Dude Ranch, if I remember correctly. I don't remember when Jerry Finn stepped in, but I don't think Jerry Finn did Dude Ranch. I think he didn't come in until Enema of the State.
Was it? You got me. You stumped me. I'm not too sure.
Maybe
you can comment.
Somebody comment if they know the answer to that.
Correct
because
this guy here.
I'm not 100% certain, but that you definitely hear. Like the growing of their their songwriting ability and like their tightness as a band from being on the road all the time, touring, that really will bring you up into like being like a super tight with it band. Another example of that, not Blink related, but just kind of backtrack a little bit. Stone Temple Pilots, when their first album came out, they were on the road for almost 2 years straight.
Oh, wow.
And when they got done, they went straight back into the studio and recorded either Purple or Core, whichever one was their second album. I don't remember. I'm not good with names. But that's why that album, that second album is super tight. Because they had been writing and playing and
knew each other for 2
2 years,
2
every
years
night
of chemistry,
playing together.
Gelling together.
And they were writing all these songs on the road. So
yeah,
I mean,
sense.
You go in and you just knock them out. You know what I mean? And you've been playing them together, maybe trying them out on the road and things like that while you're going. So, your first foray into them was that like what made you like stick with them as a fan?
Okay, so this was probably 99-ish. Then I picked up, the first 3 albums. I even went and picked up Buddha, which it's not really. I don't know if that was like a demo converted to a CD or I'm not too sure, but that's in between.
It sucks.
The recording does suck on that, but it was Cheshire Cat, and then I think they recorded Buddha, or it might have been before. But I picked up the whole catalog up until Enema of the State, and it got me to play music. I picked up a guitar and I started trying to learn all the small things. Damn it, pathetic,
Oh, so that's where that got
what
you
got
playing
me.
music.
Yeah, my first guitar was a Blue Squire, but my second actual professional Fender guitar was a Tom DeLonge Strat.
I also owned a Mark Hoppus signature bass in Daphne Blue.
Oh yeah, mine was a Seafoam Green or Surf Green. Excuse me, Surf Green.
Well, I didn't want the green one because I felt like everybody had a green one, and then like he had a really cool like hot pink one.
He did,
but you couldn't get that color. It was like more of a shell pink or pastel pink.
He played that a lot on the Take Off Your Pants.
The pink one or the pastel pink?
The pink one.
Yeah, but his was like the actual one that he had is hot pink, and the one that you could buy was more of a pastel pink. I think they called it shell pink.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't the same color, so it was not anything worth anyway. So yeah, like Blink was one of like I think that's not the band that got me playing guitar. I think I was already playing guitar at that point. Not very well for sure, but I had a guitar, an acoustic guitar, and I think that was one of the bands that like I think the probably one of the bands that like the first time I ever played a song all the way through was a Blink-182
What was the song? Do you remember?
Probably "Damn It" if I had to guess.
Yeah, it probably was.
I mean, it's such an iconic riff that
such
like
an easy song.
It is, but it's an easy song, but it's hard to play correctly. Like you have to have the right feel to it.
It's hard to play the main riff correctly.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just really just 4 chords throughout the whole song, and
yeah,
you know what I mean?
So it is. So we'll dive into the history for people that,
but not knocking to those people that are struggling to play that song. Didn't mean that to be a flex
stay with
on
it.
Yeah.
Stay with I mean, it was a little bit of a flex, but stay with it regardless. But
sure.
So we'll jump into the history of Blink-182, and I learned a lot of the history of Blink. I had a book that was actually written by Mark Hoppus, who's the bass player. It was written by Mark's sister Anne, because she is actually the one that introduced Mark and Tom to each other.
For sure.
And she wrote a book, and it came out in like 2000. So it was while they were recording. It was right when they were coming off of Enema of the State and going to write and record Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. So it was like an unauthorized biography of the band up to that point, and it gets really in depth. I would suggest you read it. If you're a Blink fan, it's really good.
I didn't even know that there was a book. It's awesome.
Yeah. So and it's called Blink-182 Tales from Beneath Your Mom. So and it's got some really great pictures and stuff like that. Some candid photos from behind the scenes. And things like that. So, Blink were at the time they were just Blink, and they were formed in 1992 in San Diego, California.
Right on.
So they were formed when Tom entered a Battle of the Bands competition in high school, and that's where they met Scott Rayner, the drummer.
Right.
And Tom befriended a fellow musician named Carrie Key, who was dating Ann Hoppus, and Ann introduced Tom to Mark, who's her brother. And the first night that they met, Tom and Mark played and jammed music together for hours. And the story goes that Mark climbed the street light out in front of Tom's house.
Yeah, that's right.
And fell off and broke his leg.
Yeah. That was the first night.
That was the first night they ever hung out.
He seems like that type of guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't know any of them. But
I mean, but you've seen enough videos of them performing. Exactly. He's a pretty goofy guy. It wouldn't surprise me at all that that's 100% true.
For sure.
So a lot of things happened in 1992-93. Tom got expelled from high school for showing up to a pep rally drunk.
My man.
And so, and what song did he write about that? There's
it's well, I wrote about him being expelled.
Yeah,
I'm not too sure. I know that there was
the lyrics are, "Please, Mom, you ground me all the time, and know that I was right long ago."
Oh, that's
okay. Remember,
not Waggy.
I'm a kid. Is it Dick Lips?
It is Dick Lips.
Okay, that's what it is.
Good call, man. It is Dick Lips.
I'm not great with names. Like, I know that I can pull the lyrics out of my ass pretty good, and if you played it, I could tell you probably what album it was off of. But that's
Dick Lips is off what album? Trivia. Come on, baby. Come on.
It's on. That's on Dude Ranch.
Yes, sir.
And that song is called Dick Lips, but it's actually named after a friend of theirs who they nicknamed Shit Lips.
Shit Lips. Oh, okay.
And they forgot his real name.
Oh,
everybody just called him Shit Lips all the time. And so, but they couldn't name the song on the album Shit Lips because it would get an explicit or whatever.
Well,
so they call it Dick Lips.
You name him Dick Lips. You get okay from being named Dick Lips?
Well, I mean, Dick is short for Richard, so I mean, I guess that was
there's justification.
The justification.
I get it. Okay, fair enough.
The first couple of demos that they did, the Fly Swatter Demo, they recorded it between 93 and 95. They did 2 demos, Fly Swatter and demo number 2 is what they called it. And those were recorded on a 4-track, I think, in Mark's bedroom.
Explain a 4-track. What's that? Just 4 channels?
4 channels. That's what you get.
That's all you got.
And it's analog. And you can backtrack and record each channel separately. But you only get 4 tracks. So
that's like old school shit.
Yeah, that's old school shit. The invention of the 8-track recording equipment was and Tascam was kind of the innovator of like in your bedroom recording with 4 tracks.
You see, kids, you guys got it made right now. Like back in the day, I mean, it's a little bit older than us, but I mean, we kind of rolled with 8 tracks if we wanted to record our shit, I think.
Yeah, like back then, I mean,
now all you need is
in 2000, 2001, when we were getting serious into music, digital music was already around at that point.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
But you could find a used Tascam 16-track recorder for a couple $100, and Mark said that like they egg crated his room to soundproof it, and they practiced in his room with the drums set up underneath the bunk bed.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and apparently,
sound.
According to Ann and Mark, the Hoppus family was kind of like the place where they all hung out and coalesced, and Mark and Ann's parents were super supportive of them and of Mark, I guess, the whole time. So, that's kind of where everybody just kind of ended up all the time. So that in between 93 and 95, they released Fly Swatter, and they also at the end of 95 in 94 they recorded Cheshire Cat, and then 95 they released Cheshire Cat, which was their first big album on a sub-pro label. They didn't indie release it. It was on a label, and they went out on their first national tour.
That was MCA wasn't established then, was it? Or was it on MCA?
It may have been on MCA, but it wasn't. I don't know. I don't know what label.
We don't have those facts right now.
Yeah, I didn't write that shit down, but I didn't think somebody was going to call me out on it.
I'm sorry. As we go along, I would like to, since we're talking about the album, Cheshire Cat, favorite song off that album.
You already know, Carousel.
Yeah. Because of the bass solo, right?
Yeah, because the bass solo in the beginning. Well, Toast and Bananas is good.
I was going to say Toast and Bananas. That's a great song. It's a catchy song, too. Very catchy.
I think Eminem's is on there also.
Eminem's is on there.
Those are probably my favorite songs on that album.
The cool thing about Carousel, if you ask me, is that, okay, you got your bass solo in the beginning, but then Tom rips on his solo at the very end, too. So it's a nice contrast.
What's funny is that, in that band, Tom and Mark both write. They both write the guitar lines, the bass line. No idea is, given context to, or priority over either one. So like, just for example, like Mark wrote the riff to "Damn It."
Yes, that's exactly
on a broken string guitar. That's why it has like kind of a weird skip melody kind of thing. So I'm putting this over here so you can see it. You kind of, but anyway, so Cheshire Cat. Let's get back to Cheshire Cat. So, what would you say your favorite song is on there?
I mean, I love Carousel's a go-to, but I think Toast and Bananas is up there.
Okay.
Yeah, Toast and Bananas. Ben Wall Balls is pretty good too.
Wah 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 wah. I didn't know what Benoit balls were. I had to go hilarious. Google that when I got into college.
Google it, guys, if you don't know what it is.
Google Benoit balls on your parents' work computer.
Yes. That'll be hilarious.
So I have a funny story. It doesn't involve Benoit balls. No, it doesn't involve Benoit balls, but it does involve work and something funny with work and computers.
Well, do tell.
A few years ago, it was somebody's bachelor party or something, and I had bookmarked and bought a cock ring as a joke gift. But it was in my bookmarks folder on Chrome, right?
I can already see where you're going.
And so when I started working where I'm at now, like I ended up syncing both of them together, and I haven't ever split them apart. But one of the guys I worked with, his laptop shit out, and he was borrowing a laptop, and he didn't have any of his saved links, so I just sent him my bookmarks. Like and luckily we're friends, but I sent him my bookmarks, and I mean, dude, this had to have been 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Easy 3 years ago. And didn't think anything of it. I have one folder that says personal and has just a couple of like random things in there of like, just whatever I was looking at, music equipment, recipes or, just stupid
your
shit.
JOM folder.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if you guys know what JOM is, but it's jerk off material. Sorry.
I don't save that. No, I just Google.
You just stream your soul streamer, huh?
Soul streamer. That's it. I don't need to come back to that, but
no need to clear your history.
So it was this week, just randomly out of the blue. And I talk to this guy on a fairly regular basis, and he messaged me and he's like, "Hey, you remember that time you let me borrow you gave me your bookmarks?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "You had a cock ring bookmarked?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do know that."
Yeah. That was on purpose.
Tighten the base of it.
That was on purpose, guys.
And I told him, I was like, "It's a really funny story, but like, it wasn't for me. I wish I was that cool, but I'm not." So anyway.
So what is the purpose? No. We'll get to that later.
You don't.
Alrighty. So Cheshire Cat. After Cheshire Cat, what came about? Well, what came about in that time frame of Cheshire Cat? Did anything? Scott was obviously still with the band.
Scott was with the band still,
living the life.
Yeah. So they toured a lot behind Cheshire Cat. It was released in '95. I think they toured for probably a whole year, right. And then they started working on their second album, and that's when they signed to MCA.
Okay.
They signed to MCA.
Right there.
It's in my notes. So. They signed after MCA to go record Dude Ranch. That's when they got their first like professional producer. And Dude Ranch was recorded in '96, released in '97 with the lead singles, Damn It and Josie.
Josie, yes.
Who was the famous actress that they managed to pull in for
Alyssa
the Josie
Milano.
video? Yeah,
Alyssa Milano. I already knew where you're going with it. Yeah. Those lucky devils.
Yeah. So they had they got Alyssa Milano for the video. This is when Blink starts gaining some steam and some momentum. They're kind of on their way. They start doing some major touring, supporting some major acts and some headline touring. Dude Ranch was actually certified platinum in the United States.
Right. Yes.
So I don't know at what point it was certified platinum, but it was certified platinum.
And platinum is how? Do you know how many records?
Fuck,
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Landrum would kick my ass.
I'm sorry, man.
He would know.
It's better than gold. I know that.
Yeah,
it's better than gold.
Not as good as diamond.
Okay, there you go. Okay,
so
it's a high.
Michael Jackson is diamond, and who would be like a gold record? Like
Sum 41. Maybe, I don't know.
I think actually they went platinum.
I'm sure
also.
they did. They're fucking high.
Back in the day, it was easy to sell CDs.
I wouldn't know. I just know that it's better than our trash can water music that I made when I was hoping to be a rock star.
Okay, so yeah, it's way better than the shit I was making in '98. I can tell you that. So 97, 98, they're on tour. While they're on tour, it becomes painfully apparent that Scott is an alcoholic. He starts.
What are you going to do?
He starts not showing up for rehearsals.
Right.
Showing up at the last minute, moving in, for gigs, like walking on stage as they're about to start and things like that. And there is at one point he doesn't show up for a gig. He's not there on tour. And at this point in time, that is when they needed a replacement drummer. So Mark and Tom asked Baron Von Tito of the Aquabats.
There you go. Because they were touring with them, right?
They were touring with the Aquabats at the time,
Yep.
Which is a ska punk band. Great band. Check them out if you haven't. They asked Baron Von Tito to come fill in on drums for him for the night. And Baron Von Tito, of course, is Travis Barker.
Right, obviously.
And so Travis Barker comes and sits in, and he learns their entire 20-minute set in 45 minutes.
Yes. That's
and
so
I've heard Tom say, I don't know what that says more about us as songwriters or more about him as a musician.
I think it's a little bit of both. But the guy obviously,
like, are they shitty songwriters or is he really good?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, Travis has obviously proven himself as a badass. So, after their set, Mark and Tom huddle up, and basically say, like, this is the guy we need in our band if we're going to be moving forward past, the sound that they had on Dude Ranch, which was Scott for all intents and purposes. He's a decent drummer, but he's a really straightforward punk drummer, and actually, he's a metal drummer.
He is a metal drummer. Yes.
Yeah, and so that was his whole thing. It's like he was a metal drummer. He liked playing, heavy metal. So, that's one of those things that, like,
well, if you think about, like, in Eminem's, it's really just a slower style blast beat. It's a punk beat.
Yeah.
But that whole song is like a the whole song.
Every song of theirs is the same.
Good point. My question is this: do you think at what point in Travis's career do you think that he, like, grew into some badass drummer, or do you think he was always a badass drummer to where his best gig was the Aquabats?
I don't know. I've seen, Travis has been posting videos lately of his first punk band called Feeble. And if you check him out and you look online from when he's posting those, he was kind of already a badass drummer at that point. He was doing more than just basic punk blast beats and stuff like that. And even when we had our friend Rhino on here, who was tour manager for Phoenix TX when they were opening for Blink.
And he's now the tour manager of the Descendants.
Now he's the tour manager of the Descendants. But I mean, he was even saying that, how much of a badass Travis was. And, it's interesting to get that perspective from somebody that's actually, met him and been there and seen and done that. So at that point, the band fires Scott. And this is in the midst of all these things happening. They were signed a contract to appear in the movie American Pie. They were signed a contract to start writing and recording their third official album. So Cheshire Cat, Dude Ranch, and then the third official album was supposed to come out. So they needed a drummer. So they hired Travis. They hired Travis on the spot, and they were just like, fuck the Aquabats. We need this guy.
It was a good gig for him. For down the Aquabats.
Yeah, I mean, that was I think it's worked out for him pretty well. I would say.
Yeah.
But so this is kind of a pivotal moment in Blink's career. So we'll take a second, and why don't you bring that back up?
Absolutely,
here?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
What are you drinking there, Jake?
This will be the one and only Mini Boss, my go-to IPA from Eureka Heights. It's mighty tasty. If you haven't checked them out, check them out. What address?
941 West 18th Street in the Heights, Houston, Texas. Head over there. I'm sporting Eureka Heights tonight, representing our favorite band. Well, I mean, I feel like they're the only Houston franchise that I can get behind anymore. After the sad news of the Texans fucking up J.J. Watt and all the Astros getting rid of, can't afford to keep anybody, and then the fucking Rockets getting rid of everybody.
It's tough being a Houston fan.
It's 2021 is going to be tough for Houston fans.
It's always been tough being a Houston fan unless you're a fan of Eureka Heights.
Never hard being a fan of Eureka Heights.
Damn, smooth that thing.
You like that?
Yeah, I love it.
All right. We can cut that. We can do drops with that. Okay. Anyway, we're party planning here.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so I think this is where once they got the MCA money, that's where Jerry Finn stepped in, and Jerry Finn was their longtime producer and collaborator, and he did Enema of the State. And it's funny because I forget where the video is that comes from, but there's a video of Tom, and he's talking about the new album, and he's like, and we're gonna name the album enema of the state, and he on camera comes up with the name of the thing, and he's like, "That's pretty good, Mark. What do you think about this?"
Yeah.
And I mean, it's actually caught on camera with him coming up with the name.
That's not under Urethra Chronicles.
It may be on the Urethra Chronicles Part 1 because that wasn't released until after the album came out.
But I mean, they used backlog footage.
Yeah, they used backroll footage on that. So yeah, it may have been.
I'm not too sure, but I think I've seen that before. And YouTube, you can see everything, even their big, the Sydney, Australia, Big Day Out. I mean, I remember downloading that shit on Napster or Kazaa.
Yeah, that was
took all
watching
night just to see one.
Watching Big Day Out, Sydney, was the first you get to see what I want to say Blink in their heyday. Yeah. Because I mean that was for me when Enema of the State came out, it was the first album I think that I learned how to play bass to every song. Mm-hmm. Every song cover to cover on that album. That was the first album that I ever even attempted to do that to. And it took me a while, but I was able to do it because I was only
30, 34, 35 years old, maybe.
99, I was.
Let me call it. Let me just take a gander.
Go ahead.
You're probably around 16.
I was 16. Yeah.
See?
Because I graduated. Graduated in 2001, and I was 18, so I was 16, 99. Very good.
If my math is correct,
which it is.
Thank you, sir.
So yeah, I mean that's that was the first album that I remember. I mean, I remember being a teenager. You crank it up, you turn.
Oh man,
you have a small ass little bass amp.
Right, it's like
crank everything.
It's all distorted
to 10.
out. It's like peaking and shit.
Oh yeah, it's all like. You know what's funny is I still have that first bass amp that I ever had. Let's divert a little bit because this is an interesting. Both of us are musicians, so I'm curious about this. First guitar.
First guitar obviously was a Squire Blue, but I went to the Tom DeLonge signature.
Okay, first guitar. Where did you get it from? Where did
Mars
it go?
Music, and then that was the first guitar I got it from Mars
Music, man.
But then I did I guess I did great in my grades, and my older brother, because I didn't grow up with a father, lived in California. Jesus. Oh, I know. He was like, if you do badass, maybe we'll talk about that guitar. And I come home and it's fucking on my couch somehow. And I'm like, oh, that's fucking. I wish I didn't sell it though.
I feel the same way about the Mark Hoppus.
But yeah, it was the Tom DeLonge, and I remember the day I came in. I was actually listening to the Cheshire Cat CD on my Walkman.
Your Walkman,
yeah, and it was the anti-skip.
This was pre-iPod.
There was no such thing as fucking do the anti-skip shit. There
were MP3s at this time.
There were,
but there was no such thing as an iPod or a Zune.
The iPod didn't come out till 2004-ish, maybe.
Sure.
I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, what were you getting at with this question?
So my first guitar was a PV Predator, which is like a Squire Stratocaster body clone guitar. And I got that for probably my 17th birthday. I want to think.
Where'd you get that at? We're in the Houston area, by the way. So
yeah,
these are local.
And I don't
shops.
know. I don't know where my dad.
Okay.
I remember my dad got it for me.
Okay.
And it was like a combo. So I had an acoustic guitar, which I still have. It's in the closet.
Congratulations.
I don't really. There's a couple of guitars that I've gotten rid of, but there's a lot of stuff that I've kept over the years.
That's good.
But anyway, so I had that first guitar and amp. We had a day I think it was probably junior year, maybe senior year, first semester. Anyway, it was one of those deals let's go hang out at school, and everybody was like, oh, we're not really doing anything. So they were like, yeah, bring whatever you want to do. And I brought my guitar and amp up there, you know what I mean? And so a bunch of us were like, hey, bring your guitar and I'm gonna bring my guitar, and then we'll jam,
fun.
you know what I mean?
Fun.
So we were jamming. I didn't know how to play. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really know how to play. This is pre knowing anything about anything. So, but I remember a guy had a bass, and I started playing the bass, and I was like, man, this is way easier for me to play. I have big hands.
Wow, okay.
And I was like, this is way easier for me to play.
Foundation of Rob the bass player?
So what I did, we made a deal. I traded him.
Oh,
I traded him that guitar and amp for his bass and bass amp.
There you go.
And then Landrum was a guitar player, and Landrum was a way better guitar player than I was. So then all of a sudden we had 2/3 of a band. We had guitar and bass.
Okay, I see where this is going.
So then we had, we found a guy that could play drums, and we just, we pretended we were a band. And that's, as soon as I had that bass, I was like, man, that was it. Like, I felt like instantly better about being able to play an instrument.
Sure. That's awesome, man. That's a great story. I'm just trying to, like, in today's day and age that we're living in, how many stories of what you just described are happening right now? Do you think that still happens today? Do you think their bands are still being formed right now during school?
I don't know. And this is something that Dave Grohl has brought up a couple of times. He's like, there's no, he's like, kids today are too afraid to suck. And he goes, but that's what you did. You just got your friends together in a garage and you were fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And every day you got a little bit better. You got a little bit better, and you just made noise and music until, until you made something. But it was something, and it was yours. It was tangible. And that's how bands were formed. And there were bands, I was jealous when we were in high school. There were bands in our high school that were like, guys that were my age that were like, they were
killing
like
it.
Legit bands.
Yeah.
They were writing their own music. They were playing at Fitzgerald's. And, I was like, man, I would love to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I didn't get to do that till years later when I actually like committed to doing it. But, but yeah, I mean, I remember like there were talent competitions and stuff and going watching our high school bands play.
So the moral of the story, kids, is pick up that guitar, bass, drums, whatever, and just
don't be afraid to suck.
Yeah, go at it, man.
So anyway, back to the story at hand. So this is kind of a pivotal year, 1999, for Blink-182. So Blink-182 in 1999 releases Enema of the State. This is their first album with Travis as the drummer, and it goes 5 times platinum.
Yeah, 5 times platinum. Yeah,
spawning lots of singles, including including What's My Age Again,
Adam's Song, All the Small Things. Was Mutt a single? It was on the soundtrack.
I don't think it was on the soundtrack. Most people know it, but I don't think that it was. I think there was only 3
singles on that album.
Yeah. Stay Together for the Kids was Take Off Your Pants and Jacket.
That's Toy Patch for sure.
Yeah. This is...
which is a clever name, by the way, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah. So, this is... After 99... After 99, they toured real heavily behind Enema of the State. And 2000 was kind of a shift year for Blink, and it was kind of the beginning of the end. In 2000, they were touring heavily. They did their first big headlining tour after they toured heavily. In 2001, they did their first big headlining tour behind, it was a big headlining tour. They did a headlining tour behind Enema of the State, but it was nowhere near the size of what the headlining tour for Take Off Your Pants and Jacket was.
Oh, right. Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, this was huge because if you think about it, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket had some of their biggest songs that we know. First Date, Rock Show, Stay Together for the Kids.
Anthem Part 2.
Anthem Part 2.
I don't know if that was I don't know if that
I don't think it was a single, but it was definitely...
do you hear it on the radio?
I don't think so.
No? Okay, maybe not.
I mean, we're fans. We
hear it
all the time.
It's on my playlist.
So this was also the year that Tom decided to create a faction band, a splinter faction. And this is where he created Boxcar Racer, which I love that band.
I think it's great. Now, were you diving in on why he created this and like where he created these songs?
No, go ahead.
No, because what I read is, I don't know if you have it in there, but he created these. It was a little bit more of a darker tone because he was also in the hospital due to a herniated disc. Because the way he used to play the guitar, he used to play that shit so low, which is the poorest form, and he was always hunched over, and he ended up creating a herniated disc, and he had to have surgery. And during the hospital, he created a lot. I don't know if a lot of those songs, but he created that tone for Boxcar.
Okay, and it's a shift.
And then 9/11 happened.
That's true. 9/11 did happen, and so I forget the name of the guys, but
David Kennedy.
David Kennedy. That's his buddy, David Kennedy. So Tom decided he was going to form Boxcar Racer with David Kennedy, and brought in Travis, because obviously Travis is a badass drummer, and then brought in a different bass player, and they recorded this Boxcar Racer album. Yeah. This kind of drove a rift into Blink-182 because Mark felt excluded. Because rightfully so, I think it was justified, because I mean, you can't say that like, oh, I'm starting a whole new band when you bring in Travis from the band that you're already in. Well, and honestly,
he's the best drummer out there. Why would you not bring in Travis?
But I mean, still, like, I
can
mean,
see why
there's nothing between Mark's playing ability and that he couldn't have done for Boxcar Racer. Sure. And Boxcar Racer could have, we talked about this earlier, Boxcar Racer could have 100% been a Blink-182 album with David Kennedy on guitar, adding to it.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with adding, like we mentioned earlier, like Green Day has their fourth on stage, live guitar player.
A lot of bands have touring guitar players.
Member, yeah.
MXPX does that. Like, if you've seen some of their live streams, they have another guitar player who's been their producer for a lot of stuff. Nirvana famously brought in the guitar player from the Germs, which was a Seattle punk band back in the day, to be their live touring guitar player, Pat Smear.
Not to be confused with Pap Smear.
Exactly. And I'm pretty sure Pat Smear, it's not like a actual name. Yeah. But Pat Smear, I mean, he joined the Foo Fighters with Dave Grohl, and still to this day will tour occasionally with them. And I read an article today that says that Chris Novoselic and Pat Smear and Dave Grohl sometimes get together and jam Nirvana songs.
That's legit. Why wouldn't you?
How awesome would that be to sit in on that?
Why don't they just live stream that shit? Just hit the record.
I mean, when you talk about wanting to watch Nirvana live, you know who did a really good live Nirvana set was Post Malone. And I wasn't a Post Malone fan, and I'm still not. Really, it's just not my style.
But you can appreciate his musicianship, I can assume, right?
Yeah, I can't. And after watching that Nirvana live stream, like, you could tell, like, he gets it. Like, he was a true fan. And like, he really understood it, and he fucking ripped, killed it. Dude. He fucking killed it. Anyway, we digress.
Yeah,
but that's the
go back to the Boxcar Racer album. They did throw in Mark Hoppus on that one song. I think it's called Elevator.
I think that was just like
a sympathy. Like, hey, man, come on, we'll get you in a little bit.
I think that was Tom feeling bad about it, to be honest with you.
And I think that song was about the Twin Towers falling.
Really?
Well, yeah, if you listen to the lyrics, there's like, I saw the guy fall down and hit the ground. Oh. And
I've never really paid that
I forget the lyrics, but I remember hearing it and like, oh, that is reference to 9/11.
Okay. Well, so 2002 is a big year for Blink because they go on a co-headlining tour with Green Day on the Pop Disaster Tour. And this was the first time I ever saw Blink live.
I think this was the second time. I did see him with Newfound Glory in O-Town. Who the fuck's O-Town? I don't know. But Pop Disaster was a badass show.
That was a badass show. It was a co-headlining tour, so they were swapping off days. And Green Day, you have to understand, like, Blink formed. There's got to be a significant age difference between those guys.
Green Day was original, like the first one that came out.
I think that they formed in like '88, and they were probably 5 to 6 years older than them. Sure. So they were kind of grizzled vets at that point. Because Dookie came out in '94. Yeah. So I mean, by this time it's 2002. They hadn't put out American Idiot yet. So
that's way later. I think.
So this was like Warning. I think probably had just come out.
I think it's that's the one with Minority. I think. Yeah. I think that's the latest album.
This is the first time I saw Blink and Green Day, and Paul went with you to this one. This is the one where he left and went and saw a movie.
He missed out on a great show. Yeah, he left to go see a movie.
He tends to leave things.
Yeah, like for instance, we're missing a Paul here. Whatever.
He likes to leave things. Fuck him.
But Jimmy Eat World opened,
and they're they're
great. Jimmy Eat World pretty damn.
They're really great. My wife loves Jimmy Eat World. Yeah. I like them too, but like I would love to see them again.
I wouldn't mind it. No, they're a great band. For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
They're tight.
So I'm reading my notes. So this is during 2002 to 2005. This is kind of where everybody kind of did different things. They did on that co-headlining tour, and they returned to the studio in 2003 to make their self-titled album, Blink-182, and they co-headlined a tour with No Doubt in 2004. But in 2002, this is when they were doing separate side projects. Travis was doing a lot of his rap hip hop stuff that he was going with.
Was that when did he join the was he with the Transplants at that
Possibly.
point?
I think that's when he did that real poppy kind of electro pop song.
Got me. I don't know.
Anyway,
if I heard it, I would probably know.
Anyway, so in 2005, that's when they released. I believe that's when they released a self-titled album.
2005. It was 2005. And,
yes,
and Action or
yeah,
that was the first single.
Is it Action or Feeling This?
Feeling This.
Yeah, they changed the title.
Action was the original
title.
Yeah, you're right. Good call.
Yeah,
Good call. It is
which you know what? I love that album. It's a total tone shift for Blink. Especially in Tom's guitar playing. He goes from playing riffs to playing really catchy melodies.
But he also goes to like the Gibson, the big old
the ES333 is what that is.
Is that what it is? Okay,
yeah.
okay. With a single,
yeah,
obviously.
Yeah,
I didn't
so
fuck up anything here, did I?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think I hit something. Whatever.
Check the thing. No, we're good.
We're awesome.
It's still flashing no card and everything.
That's
else.
live, right?
The right side, yeah.
Okay. Question: We didn't even touch base on this. Best song off of the Enema of the State and best song off Toy Patch.
Oh,
Take Off Your Pants and Jacket for you guys that don't know.
Okay. You answer first. I answer first.
Enema. I want to say probably it's slow. Adam song maybe.
Really?
Yeah. All the Small Things is too catchy and too poppy. Everybody loves it, and I go against what everybody loves. Actually, I take that back. There's two of them: Dysentery Gary and Anthem. Because Anthem is a little bit more punkish and fast paced.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's hard for me to pick. I love Enema of the State, the entire album cover to cover.
For sure.
If I had to pick a song that like really just like gets you, it's see, I'm bad with names of the songs.
Okay.
But it's the first track of the album.
Oh, it's Dumpweed.
Dumpweed.
It's a great opener for any set.
Any set.
It is a great
opener.
opener.
I mean, it is. It sets the tone for that entire.
For sure.
I mean, because Travis comes in. I mean, and Tom does the hammer on pull off guitar part.
And next time we ever in sync on a tone, let's harmonize that shit. Okay, next time, all right, we gotta prep that.
All right. We'll work that out for the next ones. And then Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. First Date's my favorite on that.
First Date, okay. Nah.
Just because I love the music video.
It's a great...
With fucking Tom as he's like, no, Boomer's not a character. He's a real guy.
That's right.
And
he did the whole intro in the beginning.
Yeah, he's
right. That's right, man. I forgot about that, man.
And so that's I love Tom playing Boomer, and that whole video is fucking. If you haven't watched the First Date video, watch the First Date video. It's hilarious.
What's on the van? Ass, grass.
Ass, gas, or grass. No one rides for free.
No one rides for free. Yeah, there you go. That was fun. Fun.
So that's my that one. Rock Show is just kind of an all around like this is kind of a definitive Blink-182 song. But yeah, First Date's definitely my favorite song off that album.
And forgive us for those that you are watching. You see all the stats of our camera settings. You know, we're getting it going. You know,
this is the first time using this camera, so
that's true. Good point. Yeah,
and you know
we're auto across the board as you can see.
Yeah, so we we did. We had to like set up the new set and, rewire the table and, we're standing now. So we're trying to get more energy in there. So let us know, drop a comment. Let us know how you feel about it, what you think about it, all that kind of stuff. So jumping back into Blink. So now we're at 2005, self-titled album, favorite song off self-titled album.
Stockholm Syndrome.
It's a good one. Down is my favorite song.
Down. Okay.
I just love his guitar tone on that song.
Isn't that the one that they continue on with another song?
Oh, no, not Down. Obvious is my favorite.
Sorry.
Obvious.
That's the one. That's not the one about, I could be totally wrong. Mark Hoppus's divorced parents. No, that's
Go.
Let's Go. That's what it is. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead,
No, Obvious is like I just
obvious.
The way they recorded that, they rented out a house. And the way they recorded that
that's right.
they put a mic at the end of a hallway, and the chorus where it's like times like this,
Right.
So Tom is screaming down a hallway singing that.
I just love that,
with
man.
the mic at the far end of the hallway, and that's how they picked that up and did that. And it just it's
raw, man.
Yeah.
Like you can I think you can, get compressors or, like actual equipment for that type of effect, but
No,
it doesn't
you
get
can't.
better than actually doing it
yeah.
like analog style.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, that's a very Doug Cook thing. Nothing's better than the analog.
Nothing's better than that. I agree.
I tend to agree. He's sold me on it. Like
Yeah.
I've argued with him on that point for years, but he's convinced me. I have a bunch of analog gear.
Yeah,
that I have plugins that do the exact same shit. But the analog gear, it does sound better if you know how to use it. But anyway, yeah. So Obvious is my favorite, and they did the AOL sessions, which were, I don't know if you've ever seen them doing live, but I think the tonal shift of that album has to do with the fact that Tom switches to that ES 333 or 335 guitar, the semi hollow body, and he also has a baritone guitar made. Which is a lower register guitar just in general. He uses that on Down and a couple other songs. And
what's the tuning? The tuning lower?
Yeah, it's a whole different tuning because it's a lower it's in between a guitar and a bass.
Right. Because you start off like a 12 gauge strings probably.
I don't know. We'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
Somebody want to look it up for us.
I'm talking like I know what I'm talking about. But
yeah, but obviously we don't. None of us do. But yeah, 2005, it was, that album came out. I think they did a little bit of touring, but Tom left. Tom said that he was leaving and he was, they were going on an indefinite hiatus is what they called it. And, I remember reading that and just was like, I was devastated. And I remember Mark and Travis being like, we're going to do something else. We're going to push on. And what they did was Plus 44.
Yeah.
And Plus 44 was, all in all, a pretty good band. I mean, I think that it
was a Blink part 2, if you ask me.
It was because Mark was half of the songwriting, so half the talent. I mean, if you really think about it that way. And I think that that's true in that case. Like Mark was able to write enough material and bring in some other people. He has a very unique lyrical style and his melodies and tempos are very upbeat. When Your Heart Stops Beating, it's still one of my favorite songs of all time.
Was that the song that was kind of like pointing the finger at Tom? There was one of the songs that was
No, that's a different one, I think.
Okay.
When Your Heart Stops Beating is I think is more of a love song for his wife, Sky Hoppus, who he met on the set of All the Small Things. She was one of the production assistants.
Oh, wow.
So he met her on that set.
Did not know that.
This was so Shane Gallagher and Craig Fairbaugh. They are the ones who formed Plus 44 with Mark and Travis. And that was there was like a 3 or 4 year Cliff Diving was the one about, I think is the one about.
Maybe. Okay.
You know who would know the answer to that is Kyle. You remember Kyle and Steven when we did the MCU episode with them?
I was not here for that one.
Oh, man. You should have been. We need to, you know what? We should do an MCU episode, like the future of the MCU moving forward after you watch WandaVision.
I will.
Which,
yes. Okay.
Next episode, we're going to talk about WandaVision and the future of the MCU. So stay tuned. Come back for that one.
For sure.
Maybe we'll try to get Kyle on because he's super in depth on those theories and shit like that.
For sure. Let's do it. Yeah.
So anyway, in 2005, Tom, citing creative differences, formed Angels and Airwaves, which was more of a dark, ethereal riffs and more.
It's the stuff that he really wanted to talk about, and it's like all about this, like the adventure. It's all space themed out.
Yeah. It's stuff that he didn't feel he could get out on any of the Blink albums. So he formed Angels and Airwaves, which I liked it. I guess. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on Angels and Airwaves?
I mean, the first album was good. I think probably because I'm saying that I put that adventure on repeat because that's a badass song. I appreciated it. It wasn't Blink-182, and I was a Blink-182 diehard fan at the time, so it was there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it was there.
You know what we skipped over and we didn't talk about, and one of the things that I really really like is I love live albums. I love when bands do live albums because it really gives you a sense of like, you know, who they are as a musician. Because if a band sucks live, that means that they just suck.
Yeah.
That means that they're just polished in the studio. That means they can't hack it. But Blink is one of those bands.
Or they're drunks. They're just drunk all the time.
That's true.
I mean, maybe.
That's okay, fair. But when Enema of the State was out and they were touring for that, they recorded a live album, and it was the Mark, Tom, and Travis show, The Enema Strikes Back. Sorry, got that carbonation buildup.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a great live album. If you've never heard it, I encourage you, if you can find it, go pick it up.
That's where they released Man Overboard on that album.
Yeah, Man Overboard, about Scott.
It was about Scott.
Yeah, it's about Scott Rayner. So
wow.
Yeah, and you know that was that transition period of time. You know. So anyway, back to the side projects and Angels and Airwaves. You know, Tom did Angels and Airwaves. I think they did 2 albums between 2005, 2009.
Right.
And you know, they did the Adventure. I wasn't a fan of the Adventure, but Everything's Magic was a pretty good a single. So in 2009, Travis was involved in a pretty severe airplane accident with DJ AM. And they both survived initially, but I think DJ AM died later, if I remember correctly.
But I think DJ AM, did he not? I think he's the one that died from the plane crash. No,
he died later on because of injuries sustained from the plane crash. I believe.
Okay.
I think they both initially survived the crash.
Okay. Okay.
But you'll have to. I don't remember. But in 2009 is when they once Travis was in that plane crash. Mark and Tom both individually came to see him in the hospital.
Drug overdose. Sorry.
He died of a drug overdose later. I heard it was from painkillers from the plane accident or something. Anyway, you know, Tom realizing that, you know, life is short, kind of thing. Went and they all hugged it out and cried together and decided that, you know, they missed each other and, you know, they shouldn't, you know, exclude that. And I guess they decided that Tom could still do Angels and Airwaves if he wanted to do Blink. And at the Grammys that year, they all came together and said, you know, we used to play music together, and we decided we're going to play music together again. Yeah. And I got an instant erection.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do that. Yeah,
and sure. I was, you know, I was totally pumped. I mean, they announced an album a few months later, Neighborhoods. I pre-ordered that album. I mean, they were doing, this was in 2009, 2010 ish. So, this was like me and Melissa. Melissa was pregnant. We had just gotten married. And then Edie was born early 2010. So, I remember, you know, just going through all of that stuff. And ordering like the Neighborhood stuff, like the packages that they had, because it was all online. Like, and so you could order stuff, and pre-order, and getting Neighborhoods. But they did a greatest hits tour, and then Neighborhoods came out in 2011.
Okay, 2011, and
Ghost on the Dance Floor was a really good song. There were some good songs on Neighborhood, I think.
What's the last song on that album was, I think, the best song. I think, I forget, dang it. Even if I forgot what it was, but
Even If She Falls, that's a great song.
That's a great song. Yeah,
Heart's All Gone is an also. Well, I don't know if Heart's All
Gone is a badass drum intro song.
I don't know if that's on that album.
I think
somebody fact check that.
Is on that album, I believe. Yeah, I think is that the one? It starts with the yeah. That's
Travis does that bell ride.
Yes, yeah. I mean that's what I'm saying. It's a badass drum intro, but that album didn't meet their expectations.
No, it failed to perform. So my notes say like Neighborhoods failed to perform as well as expected, and the band admitted that it wasn't their best effort, and they left Interscope Records. So, and then Mark told MTV News that it's been very exciting. They feel like their band is in the best place it's been in a long time. They also released an EP entitled Dogs Eating Dogs in December, and only to reveal that a 7th album is on the way.
Minus Tom, obviously.
No, not at this point. Tom is in the band.
Okay.
So
at this point, yeah.
But the the biggest thing was they didn't make any progress on that 7th album. I think Tom was busy, and Travis developed an insane fear of flying after that plane crash. Yeah. So it kept him from being able to tour with the band in Australia. And he was replaced by Brooks Wackerman. And then, once you started seeing some cracks forming in the band, once Travis had a Twitter argument about his no-show in Australia, and Tom and Mark kind of discussed kicking him out of the band, which is one of those things. Like I'm not sure that was really relevant. I mean, the guy had a fear of flying. I mean,
he was pretty much almost dead.
I guess they could have stuck him on a boat.
You can't force somebody. The guy almost died. You can't force somebody to do something like that. So I would assume that you would be a little bit more understanding. But I mean,
yeah. But I get it. I'm not in that band, and you're talking at this point. Blink-182. Something that a lot of people fail to realize. This is not just a band; it's a business.
Yeah. Sure.
And you kind of get a really good example of kind of where a band of this magnitude kind of falls, and like how this business of being a band works is in the documentary Some Kind of Monster, the Metallica documentary.
That's the one where they had a freaking counselor or a therapist on site?
Yeah, but this is, that, and they did that because Jason Newsted quit. Jason Newsted quit that band because they hazed him. He came in after Cliff Burton died, and they just they were relentless, and he hated being part of that band. So,
and Justice for All, if you listen to the bass tracks, it's like a baritone guitar. You can barely hear the bass on that.
Oh, that's because they turned him all the way down.
It's fucked up.
And that's all Lars, fucking Lars, whatever. Anyway, so when they brought in and started auditioning guitar players, obviously they extended an offer to Robert Trujillo, who was playing with Ozzy at the time. But if you watch the documentary, there's a very interesting scene of Robert getting the actual offer from James and him saying, "You are coming in as part of the business as a partner. We're giving you a $1 million signing bonus. You are part of the band, part of the business." And that's kind of, at this point, that's kind of how Blink is having to operate. They're operating, they have at this point 6 albums, EPs, multiple tours, merchandise. This is a multifaceted business, and at this point, they're running as kind of like a business. Multiple people that work for the band. They have their own representation. I think they have made their own management company.
Yeah, it's not like they're just fucking booking shows themselves and
no, they just show up and
they got to pay people to do that stuff.
Yeah,
so, I mean, obviously, yeah.
So at this point, the band is not really doing anything. You don't see anything from them. They do some local shows, some performances and stuff like that. But in 2015, Tom announced that he was stepping back away from the band. He said he wasn't quitting and that he always had a spot in Blink, but he was leaving to pursue other things that he couldn't talk about at the time. We know now that he was pursuing To the Stars Academy.
If you listen to our previous episodes, we talked about all that.
Yeah, go back in our previous episodes and back in like episode...
I don't know, but I know there's...
40s, 50s, 60s, something like that, where we talk about To the Stars Academy...
And that one show that was on
Unidentified.
Unidentified.
And that's all that this was all Tom's efforts from 2015 forward to 2019, 2020. So 3 or 4 years worth of work that he put in also doing that. So the band decided, obviously, because they're a business at this point and they have to make this decision, they decided to replace Tom and continue on as Blink-182. Jake, why don't you give me your opinion of what you think of what happened? Because Blink decided that instead of just renaming themselves and becoming a different band, that they were going to continue on as Blink-182 and bring in Alkaline Trio frontman and guitar player Matt Skiba to replace Tom DeLonge and then start touring that way. How did you feel about that?
At first, I was like, okay, well, there's no Blink-182 without the original. Just call it a different band. My personal opinion. However, I caught wind of this album and I listened to it and I love it. It's a badass album. So I'm like, okay.
We're talking about 2016's California.
Yeah. And I'm
Bored to Death is such a great song.
I got to hear it again. I just know that album is like Enema of the State. And Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. You can listen from the first track to the last track, and
Agreed.
It doesn't skip a beat. It's great. But it's not Blink-182 because I feel like if you got rid of Travis, which I hate to say that, if you got rid of Travis, that could be replaced. I mean, not his skill cannot be replaced, but the name still is Blink-182 because I think Blink-182 is Mark and Tom. I don't think it could still be Blink without, by replacing one, but whatever. It's great. That album's great, and I'm not knocking Skiba at all. I mean, it's just it's different.
It's hard to listen to. It's hard to listen to the Blink tracks that you expect to have Tom on,
right?
And to listen to Matt sing and play guitar on them because he doesn't play guitar the same way that Tom plays,
for sure.
And he doesn't sing in the same register even that Tom sings in. So it's tough to listen to them play some of that stuff. But when they get into their groove, the three of them with Matt, Travis, and Mark, I mean that album earned them a Grammy nomination.
Oh, absolutely.
That never happened with Tom. So after that,
well, they won a VMA. It's not in the same category.
Multiple
Whatever.
VMAs, I'm pretty sure.
Whatever. I'm just saying,
So they spent the next 2 years touring, playing at various festivals, and they even had a residency show entitled Kings of the Weekend at Las Vegas in almost all of 2018.
Right. Yeah, they did have a residency there.
So in 2019, Mark revealed that they were working on their 8th studio album, and it was more aggressive and darker than their previous work. And so like that, he announced that, and then he also said not only is he working on that 8th album with Blink, but he's also formed a new group with Alice Gaskareth of All Time Low.
Oh, really? I didn't know
this
about
was 2019.
Okay.
They released their first EP titled Strange Love was released back in March of that year. So that I haven't. I've listened to a little bit of it. It's pretty good. I like All Time Low. I like Blink. I mean,
for sure.
It was definitely worth picking up if you're on the Spotify or the streaming. I would definitely check it out. So,
what's your best album off California?
Bored to Death.
Bored to Death. Okay.
I mean, Matt's guitar lines are just great, and when it hits that chorus, Travis comes into that chorus. I mean, it just drives home. It's just so good, and it's just so anthemic. You know what I mean? And the way that Mark and Matt's voices blend together, it's just so good.
No, it's great. I don't know if I have one because I don't know the names of that album because I didn't really want to love it when it's on. I'm listening to it, but I didn't want to dig more into it than it being on. Rabbit Hole, maybe? I don't know.
I mean, that's one of those things that you could, I don't know.
Maybe I was pissed off.
I need to look up their I didn't write down.
Their newest album?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't write it down.
What's your take on the first single off their newest album called, not Dark Side, is it? I'm going on the dark side.
Isn't that Quarantine?
Is it Quarantine?
I think
I don't know. When they have all the kids. No, it's the one where they're having all the kids in school and they're doing the freaking Fortnite dancing and.
I think it's Quarantine.
No, it's not Quarantine. I'll bet you a beer. It's not Quarantine.
Okay, I don't know what it is.
But whatever.
Okay. So their 8th album is actually called 9.
Oh, that's right. It is 9
because Mark is an asshole.
He can do it.
And you know what we didn't talk about through all this is Blink 182 become just they had multiple businesses and fashion.
Oh, right.
They were
famous.
they were like the. I mean, fashionistas, if you want to call it. They ushered in the skate pop, skate punk pop scene of the early 2000s. I mean, they were all behind that. Hurley, Billabong.
Well, they didn't create those brands.
They didn't create them, but they
branched off into make their own.
They made their own clothing lines like Atticus. Travis's Famous Stars and Straps, excuse me. And then Macbeth. I used to wear exclusively Macbeth tennis shoes, and then they sold to a Chinese conglomerate, and they quit selling them in the United States.
China.
China.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there. That's hilarious.
So, so now I have to wear lame Vans and Adidas.
Hey, they stick around for a reason.
Well, I know, it's true. I even talked my dad into buying a pair of Macbeths.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He owns
wow.
a pair of Macbeths. So,
and that was a Tom company, right?
That was a Tom and Mark company.
Tom and Mark company. Okay.
Yeah, they own that company, and Travis owned Famous Stars and Straps. And then there's been multiple different brands. I think Travis still owns part of Famous Stars and Straps, but Mark started a clothing company called Hello, My Name is Mark.
Oh, he like you said about 10 minutes ago. What an asshole!
He is an asshole. But I mean, they have a cool logo. It's like an octopus, it looks awesome. It looks like the Hydra logo, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But yeah, so there's a really cool, like, if you go on Wikipedia, there you can see kind of like a breakdown of who all's played on what, touring and session members and stuff like this. I'm looking at this. Josh Freese actually played drums for them for like a hot minute.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So my question is Tom coming back? Because he's kind of been hinting that he is going to come back by throwing these old pictures of him in the group on his Instagram.
I don't know. Tom's had a lot of personal problems lately.
But maybe he needed to take this break to obviously do some unfinished business with the alien thing.
Well, there's that, but I don't know if you know this, but Tom also got a divorce.
Yeah, he did.
He's divorced and he's dating again. Yeah. And I don't know if maybe that's why he was kind of like weirdly silent on social media and stuff.
Who knows?
So it's
and Travis is on his like third divorce probably.
You remember we didn't even talk about Meet the Barkers.
Yeah, it was Shayna. Is it Shayna Mokler? That what it is?
Yeah. I thought I liked that show when it was on.
Yeah, it was. It was all right. It was all right.
I mean, it was all about his Cadillacs and shit, but whatever. That's just Travis. I mean, it was pretty, spot on to kind of who he is.
Meet the Barkers,
yeah. So Meet the Barkers, again, another MTV show.
There you go. Yeah.
So I mean, we've made it all the way up to present day. So I mean, I think that we've kind of explained. I mean, you can't really refute that. Like, we're not Blink-182 fans.
Yeah, I think we're fans. Yeah, I tattooed the logo on myself.
You were supposed to tattoo it on me, and you never got around to it. But that's cool.
We're doing this podcast. We're doing the Lord's work here on the interwebs.
Paul would have never approved this.
Yeah. That's why Paul's not here.
Who?
Yeah.
Paul who?
Paul? Yeah.
Fuck that guy. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, best song out there for Blink. Call it. So you're going through your Spotify catalog.
Catalog?
No, Spotify, like
playlist?
No, endorsement, no.
Oh yeah, we were gonna get.
We dropped Spotify. We didn't say Apple Music or anything like that. But best song from Blink. What was your first song? Because I know
I'm gonna backtrack this and I'm gonna throw it on you instead of me because I'm gonna come back because I'm gonna give you a scenario and it's gonna be a way better question.
Okay.
Maybe not a better question, just a different approach to it. Okay. You have to convince somebody to listen to Blink-182. They agree to listen to one song. What's the song you play?
Okay, so I'll have to scale them. I have to analyze on who they are. If I get a punk vibe from them,
you're friends with them.
Okay, but even then, like, I'm not going to refer Paul, who's a metalhead / I mean, he's not just a metalhead, but the reason I say that is because if I see somebody coming to me and he's like, oh, they're like a little bit more of a punkish, I'm throwing Pathetic at them. And the reason why is Pathetic has a fast beat, and that's my go-to song because I love the fast beat, old school Blink.
I like to call an echo on the vocals. No, I'm pathetic. She said it.
Right.
Yeah, because that's another unique thing about Blink is Tom and Mark both sing.
They do. Yeah. Same thing in Josie. I think Tom does the chorus.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but that's my go-to. It's on my playlist when we first went Blink-182 song. But if someone's coming in like I never heard Blink, I'm gonna have to throw them a single because they're singles for a reason.
Yeah, and so if somebody comes up to you and says,
Rock show,
convince me to like Blink-182, what song are you throwing on?
since I'm a little bit more of the older, I'm not going to go through California, even though California's a great album. I'll probably just throw them something like Rock Show, because I think that's just...
I'm gonna throw on Damn It.
And Damn It's a good one, too. That's like their number one single, if you ask me. You're right.
And you know what? According to Spotify listens, it's not even in the top 10.
Really?
Maybe. Let me check.
Well, I know whenever I say the A word that pertains to Amazon, when I'm in the shower, I'm like, hey, play...
Amazon?
Yeah, Schmamazon. And I say, hey, play Blink-182. The first song that they play is All the Small Things. I'm like, hey, go to the next song.
Because that is the number one stream.
Song. Yeah.
On songs is All the Small Things, and then What's My Age Again? I Miss
song.
You. First Date.
Where's My Asian
song.
Friend?
Yeah. Tom has sex with guys.
Tom. that's right. That's the Mark, Tom, and Travis show, by the way.
Yeah, that's well, they do that every. I wish I could see like what it doesn't really show you what the popularity. It only shows you for like the first like 5.
Well, when I in the shower and I say, hey, can you play on my little Echo? I don't want to say it because if someone's listening to it while they're cooking, their breakfast, Alexa is going to come on.
That's true.
I just said it right now, whatever. But it's always All the Small Things. What's My Age Again? And then I think
you had to say it. Now she's talking.
Oh, is she talking right now?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yes. Yeah.
So here's the list of let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll just go the first 8 songs. Actually, you know what? This is not going to be accurate. Let me fix this because it threw a Kenny Chesney song on there. That's obviously
Kenny Chesney.
Yeah, because I just searched for Blink.
Is there a song by Kenny Chesney named Blink?
Yeah, Don't Blink.
Don't Blink. Yeah.
So, I don't think this is in any particular order, to be honest with you. I think All the Small Things is their number one in plays, but
put them on the map, I think.
Yeah, for sure. But
it's just not that great of a song.
I think it is. It was the video though.
The video, maybe. Okay.
So the top five streams on Spotify. All the Small Things with 514 million streams. Then What's My Age Again, following up with excuse me. I Miss You coming in second.
I Miss You is second
with 394 million streams.
I don't like that song at all.
And then I do.
I don't know why.
Mark's playing that stand-up bass.
I like the video.
It's a cool. It references Nightmare Before Christmas.
I think it's because it's bass heavy.
It's true. That's why
he loves that song.
What's My Age Again? Number 3, 344 million. First Date, 208 million, and then Adam's Song, 165 million. So, I guess Damn It's always my number one, and that's my go-to.
What's funny
when I was playing in punk bands with Randy and his little brother, like we would jam Damn It every night.
Nice. And it's funny that you say that because I feel a little bit more comfortable with my pick because I think we're old school Blink fans and we shoot for Dude Ranch. Pathetic, Damn It.
That's true.
It's in the same in the same umbrella. Cheshire Cat, I guess that's for the hardcore Blink.
That's for the
fans,
hardcore
you know
fans.
What I mean?
Buddha's even hardcore. But I think that if you're trying to get somebody into Blink, you want to hit them. So if you hit them with something too late, they're not going to like anything before that. But if you get them into like the early shit, then they'll be like, oh, then they can listen to the band and listen to them progress in their sound and their vibe. You know what I mean? So I think that's why I went old school on that.
That's fair point. Lastly, their single that he dropped at Christmas. It's not a Christmas album, it was a Christmas compilation. It's the I forget what it is. It's
Happy Holidays, You Bastards.
No, not that one. It's I Won't Be Home for Christmas.
Yeah,
that's the one. Be home. I won't be home for Christmas.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Like,
that was between Enema of the State and Take Off Your Pants and Jacket.
Was it? Okay, yeah. So it was post Enema.
Yeah.
How did I know that?
Yeah, it was post Enema.
Oh, very cool.
It's Labor Day and your grandpa just say 7 fucking
that's hilarious.
And they do a lot of songs live that's on the Mark, Tom, and Travis show. Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker.
They did that. Family Reunion. That's the proper name for that one. It's hilarious.
Yeah. I always hashtag all of our hashtags with aliens exist, and Paul always it makes it look like alien sexist.
It does. It's true. That's hilarious. Funny story, quick
I
story.
may stop doing that.
There's this pizza joint I used to go to, and they had one of these jukeboxes where the CD you press F1 and it flips the CD right, and then it plays it. Well, it had the unedited version of "Take Off Your Pants and Jacket." And what did I do before I left? I just hit it on number 4, which is "Happy Holidays, You Bastard," with all the cuss words in it, and I just left.
I didn't know that was actually on the album. I thought it was a bonus track.
No, "Happy Holidays, You Bastard" is
Track 4.
Chapter 4. Yeah, so my age, track 4. But every single there was 3 albums. They had the green one, which is the plain for the red one, take off.
The
Then
yellow
your
one
pants was the yellow, and then the jacket was the green one. And each one of them had 2 hidden tracks.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever heard.
Like "What Went Wrong" was one of them.
That's one of my
Grandpa.
favorite.
If you fuck Grandpa, would you?
What Went Wrong is probably
that's
one
a great
of my
song.
favorite songs.
And Tom plays that live with the acoustic in between like intermissions or breaks. Like, oh guys, go take a break. I'm gonna do this "What Went Wrong" song.
Yeah, that's a cool song. One last thing that we didn't touch on, and I wanted to touch on, and you just mentioned kind of passing on it, and then now I forgot it. Fuck. So, stay tuned.
It
Keep
is
in
what it
suspense
is.
for that. Fuck me. It was something that I wanted to mention, and any diehard Blink fan's gonna be like, "How come we didn't talk about this?" And I can't remember what
I'm
it is.
think about it now. We were talking about.
I know we were talking about like
hidden songs, hidden tracks, the green, the yellow, the red album.
No, it was before that. Something in there triggered my memory on something.
I Won't Be Home for Christmas.
No.
Well,
shit. I don't have a womp womp womp. Oh yeah, I do. Hold on. Where is it?
Hit him with that womp womp.
Is it this one?
There it is.
I think that's what it is.
That's the one. But no, okay. Well,
all right. Well, fine. So, I guess that's it. I mean, we're wrapping it up. I think that'll do her.
I think that'll do her. Yes.
You know what? We can't have. You know what? We can't have a fucking episode without one of these.
Ultra Cliff.
So,
Ultra Cliff.
Ultra Cliff.
Doing a few of those right now.
Anyway, thanks for joining us for our Blink 182 cast. Yeah. I've been Rob.
And I'm Jake.
And we will catch you guys on the next one.
Here it is. All righty.